What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and today we're going to be discussing which teams we think will be in the hunt for the President's Trophy in 2019. So we're going to ultimately get down to which team I think will win the President's Trophy, and it's going to be up to you as well. In the description down below, give me your reasoning on why Nashville or Winnipeg or Washington will win the President's Trophy. Make sure you leave all that down in the comments. It'd be cool to see, and maybe have some competition with each other, maybe rhyming stuff back and forth and seeing, hey, no, I don't agree with this, whatever. It'd be really cool. Don't get too crazy down there with arguing, but just have fun with it and say, you know, this is why I think Winnipeg will win the President's Trophy. So I've got some little statistics to back up some certain points, and then we'll get into a discussion of, you know, which team I think will ultimately have a chance. So the first thing I wanted to say is I get this every year now. The Hockey News Yearbook, my mayor bought this one for me, so thank you very much. It's got Tavares and Matthews on there, which is really cool. And they do different covers, of course, for different regions. So if you live in Vancouver, I think Besser is on there. You know, there's different regions. Montreal probably has Price on it. I think it's actually at the front of this book. I just don't remember. And they have a little thing called the Buzz, and it's your say, and it's like, hockey fans were polled to see, you know, who you think will win the Cup, President's Trophy, whatever. So this is the results. You won't be able to see it because I don't have a graphic. I have other graphics for you, though, so stay tuned for that. But this one there isn't, so I guess the Hockey News polled fans on their Twitter or wherever website, and they think that Tampa Bay has the highest percentage to win. They think they will win the President's Trophy at 37%. They have Toronto up next at 18%. They have Winnipeg at 13%, Nashville at 9%, Washington at 5%, and others at 18%. So technically they feel somebody else could win that President's Trophy just as much as the second place vote, Toronto, could win the President's Trophy. So they have some other ideas for which teams could win it. I've seen some crazy predictions. I think even Calgary was mentioned as a team that could win a President's Trophy, which is not going to happen. But if it does, I mean, whoever predicted that, I can't remember who it was, but all the power to you. But so that's the first little thing there. So just keep that in mind. Most hockey fans maybe value Tampa as the team that could win the President's Trophy by a fairly large margin. I mean, the gap between 37 and 18, that's pretty substantial, seeing as, you know, all the other numbers are quite close, I guess you could say. So I'm going to throw up a graphic now of past President's Trophy winners. I started from 2010. And of course Washington, Vancouver 2 times in a row, then Chicago, Boston in 2014, the Rangers in 2015, the Capitals back-to-back in 2016 and 2017, and then previously the Nashville Predators. So the most dominant season on there, of course, was Washington in 2010, and I just grabbed since 2010, so there could have been some better seasons. I think the Oilers definitely had one. I think Detroit actually might have the most, I think. I think maybe all time. So we'll have to see, since the trophy was awarded. It was in the 80s, I think it was. Maybe my numbers could be wrong, but this is just from 2010 on. And as you can see there, Nashville was pretty dominant last year, 53, 18, and 11 for 117 points. So let's pull up the next graphic I was gonna just get to, because it's gonna have to do with most of this discussion, I feel like. So this is the standings last year for the league. I believe I grabbed like 11 teams. There's a couple that are tied here. That's why I grabbed a couple extra. I think I have 10 or 11 on this list. So as you can see, like we mentioned, Nashville was the leading point, you know, best record in the league at 82 games played, of course, 53 wins, 18 losses, and 11 OT losses, and then points 117. And then Winnipeg was up with 114, which I think they're going to be insanely dangerous. Then you had Tampa at 113, Boston at 112, Vegas at 109, Washington at 105, tied with Toronto as well at 105. And then you had Minnesota and Anaheim tied at 101, and then Pittsburgh and San Jose at 100. So I have to say, generally, a lot of these teams that are up at the top of the league are probably going to be the teams that you see there once again. Minnesota, I don't have them in this group again at the end of next season. I really don't think that they'll be above the league's best. Anaheim, I also think has a chance to move out, but I would think maybe they would be maybe at the 10 or 11 spot. I'm not too positive. San Jose, I think, is going to go up. I think they're going to have more points. Some people might not agree with that. I believe Boston is not going to be in the top 5. I'd have them lower. Vegas, I don't have them that close either. I think that they'll be closer to the bottom. Like, not bottom of the league, but if we were picking 11 teams, they'd be 10 or 11, or maybe even 9. I think Pittsburgh is a team that, again, they're just so dangerous, and you never know when that team just gets together and just sparks it up again. Like, Crosby was obviously disappointed. I think I read something saying he was disappointed with their early exit, of course, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups and then getting knocked out. Of course, you're not very happy with that. You want to get 3 in a row. They wanted to go for that, that trifecta. And, I think that they really, really could bounce back. Well, not bounce back. They don't need to bounce back. They've been incredible. I've seen somebody, I can't remember which, I think it was NHL Tonight or NHL Network, saying that Phil Kessel, after having like a 92-point season, needs to bounce back. And I almost just repeated that with Pittsburgh. They don't need to bounce back. They were incredible. They could get better this season, which is scary. And I really do think it's possible. I could see them back around the 112 range when it comes to points. You have to remember, if Murray's healthy and he plays a little better than last season, he's got all of that, other stuff. I know he dealt with some personal stuff as well, which, again, I'm always praying for players to get through that stuff. It involved his family, of course. I think that if he's at the top of his game, Pittsburgh, they have a lethal offense. Their blue line is good enough to help them win, and they're just going to get even better. And the depth that they have at the center position and their forwards, they always seem to have guys that just produce even in their bottom portion of the lineup. In their third and fourth lines, they actually do get quite a bit of production. And, of course, when you have a guy like Derek Brassard playing on your third line and guys like Phil Kessel getting time there, you're going to win a lot of hockey games. So Pittsburgh is another team that could just shoot up. But if we're talking top 3, again, I'm just going to mention Boston real quick. I don't see them having 112. I could see Toronto maybe being in the 110 range. Toronto and Boston could very well be tied again in points, and a lot of people might not agree with that. But let me just say something to Leaf fans, okay? Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak. That's the reason why they'll always be good. They have depth, of course, but those 3 guys, you can't really deny that they're unbelievable. So they're always going to be good, but I don't know if Boston is going to be able to do it again. I don't really know if they're going to be that great this season. We'll have to see. They're to me a mystery because they could still be very good or they could drop off a little bit. I'm more leaning towards the still being really good side, but I think they're a little bit disappointed they weren't able to do more in the offseason, so we'll have to see. Toronto, I think, could get better. But again, let's get back to the top 3. Nashville, Winnipeg, Tampa. I don't see those 3 moving as the top of the league. I really think that those 3 teams are going to stay the same. How do you disagree with, first off, Tampa, who arguably, like I said, could win the President's Trophy with half their lineup? They're just so deep. And at 113 points, I only expect them to get better. They locked up quite a lot of guys. They've got a lot of their core locked up. And if they somehow get that Erik Karlsson deal done, if that comes back, how do you bet against them to win the Stanley Cup? And I've said it before, and I guess I could say it now. I am picking Tampa to win the Cup again. I picked them last season, it didn't happen. But this year, I really think it's going to happen. It's going to be them or Winnipeg, and that's what I wanted to get to next. If I was to guess right now who's going to win the President's Trophy, I would be choosing between Nashville and Winnipeg. Just because, and again, I just said that Tampa could win the Cup, and I think they'll be really good. If they get Karlsson, President's Trophy, in my eyes. But if, let's say, they keep the roster how it is right now, for the President's Trophy, I think Winnipeg and Nashville will be going for it. And this is really tough, and this is also really fun, because I'm kind of thinking, as I go here. I didn't want to do too much of overthinking for this video because it's fun. I want you guys to do the same thing. Comment as you go and say, oh, maybe I disagree with this. Winnipeg, you have to look at it this way. They might run into some cap trouble like the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if they're really going to go for it, they could also swing a deal at the deadline and try to get something else put in here, because they do have deals that they still have to lock up, like Morrissey. He's still an RFA, if I'm not mistaken. He could have got a contract done. I haven't seen anything about it. They've got some deals they're going to have to do next offseason, but for now, this Winnipeg team is very, very dangerous. And they could win. They really could win the President's Trophy. And the same thing goes for Nashville. Their blue line, much like Winnipeg, they're just so deep when it comes to every part of their team. They've got good goaltending as well. And that's what it's going to come down to as well. If Pecorine has another great year, Nashville is definitely back up there, of course. So if I was to take a guess of who, like let's say maybe the top 5, okay? So at number 1, I'm going to have Winnipeg winning the President's Trophy. At number 2, I'm going to say Tampa because of goaltending. I'm going to say Tampa. No. Oh, man, this is so tough. Okay, yeah, I'm going to say Tampa at number 2. And it's tough because I want to say Nashville. Maybe I'm going to have Nashville and Tampa tied. I'm going to have them tied. Okay, that's kind of cheating, but we'll give that 3 spots. So I'm going to have Winnipeg, Tampa, and Nashville tied. And then I'm going to say Toronto. And then I'm going to say Pittsburgh. And a lot of people are not going to agree with Pittsburgh, and they might not even agree with Toronto being that high. It's tough because these teams are so damn good. There's a lot of good teams coming into this season. So Winnipeg, Nashville, and Tampa tied essentially. And then I'm going to have Toronto and Pittsburgh. Okay, that's what I'm going to go with. Leave me your top 5. Who do you think is going to win the President's Trophy? Hockey is coming up real soon. This is exciting. Thank you guys for watching another video. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. There's lots of links down below if you want to check out my Patreon page. My Snapchat is down there, Piluk Hockey. Also, if you want to save $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek, use code APH in all caps. Again, you can get concert tickets, sporting event tickets, $20 off your first purchase. Everybody wins. Code APH in all caps. Also, if you want to grab a Andrew Piluk Hockey t-shirt, the link is down below as well. Thank you guys for all of the support. If you're going to Leafs camp they're having on the 14th to the 16th, it's almost guaranteed that I'm going to be there. If you're there, let me know. Don't be afraid to come and say hi, talk some hockey, whatever. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I've said it a million times. Click the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.